Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the BucsUK podcast. This is episode 55. My name is Alex. I am hosting the episode for this one. Please welcome also, we've got Gary and Pete. Hello, gents. Good to see you. And we also have a new host in the fourth spot with us today, BucsUK member Richard Bolching. Richard, hello. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Alex. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to join you guys.
Absolute pleasure. So, Richard, for our members, or in fact, our listeners and watchers, I should say, could you just share your story of how you became a Bucs fan and also got involved with BucsUK?
Yeah, sure. So I used to go on family holidays back to Florida, sort of like throughout the noughties. And in 2005, when I was 10 years old, my dad wanted to go to a game with me and my brother. And we were in Orlando at the time, and it was who's at home? Is it the Bucs? Is it the Dolphins? There just happened to be the Bucs at home. They were 0-7 at the time, about to face the Bengals, and Bruce Gradkowski was just taking over for Chris Sims. And we actually got to see the first win of the season when Michael Clayton scored right at the end of the game to win 14-13. And been a fan ever since. And then discovered BucsUK. I went to the pub lockout in Trafalgar Square at the Admiral when the Bucs came over in 2019. And I sort of like saw you guys like upstairs. I wasn't 100% sure what was going on. And then I can't remember what happened after that, but I remember just Googling it and finding it and stumbling across you guys, and thought, why not? Let's get involved. So that's kind of my story.
Great choice, by the way, Richard. Just want to say that we're pleased that we're pleased that you have joined us here at BucsUK. Wonderful story there, Richard. So let's get straight into it, gents. The Bucs, of course, came away with a win on Sunday against the Bills, 10-3 for the season. Pete, can you just give us your overall summary of how that game went from your perspective?
I think it's been said pretty much every podcast this season that it was a massive game of two halves. So we came out the first half, we looked like we were completely clicking on every factor from offense, defense. Everything was going perfect, and then we came for the second half, and it seemed to just nosedive off a cliff. But we got the win. That's all that really matters in the end, even if we did it on the knife edge.
And Gary, how was Sunday evening for you?
Sunday evening took about 10 years off my life expectancy. Pete just summed it up. The game of two halves, it's the old cliche, isn't it? And we use it over here a lot, but that's exactly what it was. I can't recall seeing us play as well in a half as we did. And then I can't recall seeing the change and us playing as badly as we did in the second half. But as Pete said, we got a W. That's all that matters. My dad would have said, playing cricket, look in the scoreboard, son. Look at the score, look at the scoreboard, look in the scoreboard. We had more points than them. That is all that matters. And at the end of the season, when they're doing an analysis or, whatever they do, they'll see Bills and they'll see a W. And that's all that matters.
As you say,
it felt like the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Didn't you think it felt like the first half felt like so much like the Super Bowl again, where we just seemed to be able to read everything. Everyone was just flying away, doing everything they should be. The balls, Brady was throwing absolute lasers. It all seemed so good, and then it all just dropped away.
I guess the old saying sort of goes, the other side have paid money too to be good, so they were always going to make some sort of come back and make some corrections. I mean, the Bills they're no mugs, and we know Josh Allen was in the MVP conversation last year, so I don't think we were ever going to fully shut them down for the whole game. I know Roma, I think, mentioned, this isn't like the Bears, it's the Bills they're doing this to in the first half. But there's a slight difference in the Bills and the Bears, as Josh Allen is a proven commodity now, and the Bears are sort of still finding their way. So, I mean, like you guys said, it was definitely a side of two halves, but I'm not surprised they had their moments. I think we definitely went away went away from what was working in the first half on offense, particularly in those dreaded first down runs. Decided to start sneaking back in again, as we all know and love. But at this point in the season, it's all about getting the W's and staying in that hunt for the number one seed, I think.
Now, Richard, we mentioned, obviously we're going to talk about the Bucs. This is a Bucs podcast, but you did mention Josh Allen. I just want to ever so quickly mention him because he is the first quarterback to run 100 yards against a Bucs defense, which when I saw that stat, I couldn't believe it. Michael Vick hasn't done it.
I think Michael Vick did do it once.
Oh, I saw the stat I saw so that Michael Vick hadn't, unless that's bad information, I'm guessing.
believe in 2006 he did it and rushed for 114 yards.
I need to check my
Don't mean
source.
to be an absolute nerd, but
I clearly need to check my Twitter sources on that
I
one.
think
I'll
Josh
get that
Allen was
person.
Josh Allen was the first to throw for 300 and rush for 100 against us.
That
But
might have been
Michael
one of these.
Vick
Maybe I misread.
was the first to rush for 100.
But I mean, the fact that Josh Allen has done that
Yeah.
against what is considered a great defense of ours is quite something. But we'll touch on the defense in a bit. Let's have a look at our offense. And Richard, I mean, Tom Brady. I mean, first half in particular, Tom Brady rolled back the years. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, he's 32 and was 32-3 against the Bills coming into the game for a reason. Most wins all time against a single team. Now 33-3. So, I mean, the connection that he's obviously got with Gronk still. I know he missed him a couple of times in the second half, but in the first half, finding him nicely. And him and Godwin are just absolutely in sync at the moment. And the run game is really starting to pick up. And what more can you say about the offensive line? It's all just, I know it's the cliche of like Tom has everything around him, but there's a reason he always had everything around him. He just elevates everyone to that next level, and you can really see it at the moment, I think.
The amount of protection, Gary, that he was being given. I mean, the O-line is not has. I mean, it was good last season. Don't get it wrong. It's almost as though it stepped up another level this season. Incredible, the protection they're giving him.
I think the one word you can use is continuity, because it's the same five guys it was last year up until the Kappa injury, and they're playing just fantastically well. And there's no finer example than that block that Donovan Smith threw on the Lenny touchdown, wasn't it? I mean, I made the point on the forum. Did you see that block? I mean, it was ridiculous.
Brilliant.
And what's more, it was 20 yards down the field. So, you know, we've made the point before on the podcast, our offense can score on any defense. And it's been sort of passed over by and large, but the Bills are the number one defense in the NFL. And we scored 24 points in the first half. We had more yards against them in the first half than they've had in the whole game all season. So, you know, first half was a phenomenal performance. Second half, well, you know, let's just forget all about that, shall we?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I know we were for our listeners and viewers, we were having a brief chat before we started recording, and I can't remember, but someone, I think it was one of you guys, did mention about how we were a first quarter team. Sorry, not a first quarter team last season, and we're now not a third quarter team. I mean, it's quite a weird position that, Pete, isn't it? Just to to start off so well, we go in for half time. We come back out.
Especially when it used to be the thing that we were. There's all those memes and stuff of Brady with his head down, and that's sort of like at halftime. It used to be like, say, the first quarter, the first half, we would play really bad, and Brady would go in angry, and then he, whatever had happened in the locker room would happen. He'd come out, and we would lead on to victory. And now it seems that, like I say, we're starting the game off. I don't know whether it's that we're starting with, that sort of playbook that's already choreographed, so everyone knows what they're doing, and that's what's helping us to get there, or whether it's just that we seem to call that we take them by surprise almost with the play calling in that first quarter, first half, that seems to push us in the right direction. And I don't know if we're holding back plays or whether we just lose, we get figured out or we lose what we're doing. But the second half always seems so like it just drops off. We just go back to, I think Richard was saying before the show, that it's that running on first down that sets us always up for a second and long. And you think, why have you done that?
And a big concern, certainly in against the Bills, was those 17 unanswered points in the second half. The offense, Gary, they just weren't really clicking for some reason in that second half.
I think it's been well documented. Bruce Arians said it, didn't he? That Tom Brady just missed a few open guys. And we all know that all these close games, at the end of the day, come down to one or two plays. And one of those passes to Gronk that went off his fingertips, catch one of them, different story. That amazing touchdown that Mike Evans caught, had he not caught it, for example. There was one instance where Godwin caught a It was on third down. It was 3rd and 8, I think, and he caught it for a first down. And there was offsetting penalties. The hold in our case was on Donovan Smith. Without that hold, we've got the first down. We didn't actually make it on that drive, but we would have done, but for that hold. So it all comes down to just single individual plays. And I don't know, is it complacency? Is it halftime coming at the wrong time? Is it play calling? I don't know what it is, but it's I've put it down to, and it's going to be my magic wand, killer instinct. We've got to, when we've got our boot on the neck of a team, we've got to push harder. Yeah,
definitely. We've just got to keep that tempo up.
Yeah.
I know Donny gets quite a lot of hate, but that hold that was called I've seen the replay. He just pancakes the guy. There is no hold there. It's such an impressive block, and I feel so sorry for him that got called as a hold, because he used to get so much slack for those plays. And I wasn't suggesting you were having a go at him at all there, Gary. But
no, I wasn't.
I know I wasn't. But like it was so unfortunate that the refs decided that for some reason that was a hold, because it was actually just a fantastic block.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasise that games come down to single plays, and one play having a slightly different result than what actually happened. 100%. There's your ball game. It happens, in just about every game, certainly every close game. You imagine the amount of balls that bounce off fingertips, or they just get pushed into touch. What would have happened in the Indianapolis game if Mike Edwards hadn't have got across and tackled the guy on the punt return?
Yeah.
Individual things going right, things going wrong. And in the first half for us, everything was clicking, everything seemed to work, with the exception of the first snap, of course. Second half, well, as I say, it put 10 years on me.
I think it put 10 years on everyone.
So I don't want to be any older.
Sorry,
yes.
One more.
Go on, Richard. Yeah.
I saw before the game, after week 14, starting quarterbacks against the number 1 defense in the NFL were 2-5 since 2000. Tom Brady was the one that was 2-0 in those, and other quarterbacks who were the number 1 passing offense were 0-5. And Tom Brady also didn't throw an interception in that game again. I mean, I feel like any other quarterback is probably throwing an interception in that game when it starts to get a bit dicey. It just shows the level of skill that he has to keep us in it and eventually get the win.
I do want to just change topics slightly and talk about 2 players who go by the name of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, now on 1,000 yards received, or more than 1,000 yards, should I say, receiving on the season. So fantastic, Chris Godwin. Congratulations on that. That's incredible. And then Mike Evans with arguably, I'm a bit biased, I've got my Mike Evans 13 jersey on, but in my opinion, the touchdown of the season. How good was that touchdown? I could sit here and dissect that for the next 35 minutes of this show, but obviously I can't do that. The power that Brady got on the ball and the catch that Mike made, Richard, wow. I don't know what word to use. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. That's, you summed it up. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just that's Tom Brady to Mike Evans. I don't think there's any other receiver apart from maybe Randy Moss that he would throw that ball to and have absolute confidence that he's coming down with it. And it just shows the caliber of player that Mike is. Why he's had 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons now, and in no time at all he's going to be the first ever to have 8. And it's plays like that is why.
I mean, the absolute power, Gary, that Tom Brady gets on that ball. He's, what is he, 40? Is he 43, 42? I forget. He's one of the 2.
44.
44. God, I'm well off there. Goodness me. Right. Disclaimer. I am a Buccaneer fan. I have been since 2012. I do follow the team. I promise everybody. Okay. 44 years of age and gets that power at his age on the ball, and he releases it. I think is it within 2 seconds he can still release that ball. GOAT.
Without a doubt. I mean, and you only got to look at the way Peyton Manning, I know he was injured towards the end of his career, as was Drew Brees, but their arm strength just fell off a cliff.
I mean, Big Ben's
Anybody
the
that's
same now,
played
isn't
cricket for any length
Yeah.
of time will tell you the same thing. You just lose it completely. And Brady just doesn't seem to. I've absolutely in awe of the guy. And I said it at the time when we signed him. I didn't want to sign him. I thought he was washed up. I saw
Everyone
him in
did,
the
didn't
game.
they?
I said that.
I saw him in 2017. I think it was a Thursday night game at Raymond James, and Justin Evans picked him off quite early in the game, and he didn't throw the ball that night anything more than about 10 yards. And I came out of that ground that night thinking he's had it. Thank goodness for that.
I think coming to Florida has been the
I
best
was
thing
wrong.
for him.
He's phenomenal. Absolutely. Just, I can't say enough about the guy.
He absolutely loves it down Tampa, doesn't he? I think this is the best version of Brady, even not just the way he's playing, but his whole personality. I think as everything's changed, that he's just unreal. I love seeing him, getting chippy when he's been tackled and stuff, going on these runs. He's loving it. He's absolutely loving it. The 2-footed slides. I can't.
I'm glad he doesn't play, soccer for our US viewers or football as we know it, because he get red cards for half of those. But it's great. I don't know if you guys follow him on social media either, but he has got social media down pat now. It's almost as though he's being allowed to be himself now he's out of New England.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there was a lot of talk how Belichick really keeps the players on a really tight rein at New England, whereas here he's being allowed to do, I mean, not whatever he wants, but I don't recall. I mean, I didn't really follow him when he was at New England, but I certainly don't recall seeing as much social media presence from him.
No,
when he was there.
I don't think anyone followed him because there was nothing to follow. There was no personality, whereas now he's allowed to be himself. I mean, the video that you put up today about his ratings needing to be adjusted with his sprint speed. I mean,
it's brilliant. Absolutely right. So let's have a look at the defense, gents. Pete, what did you? First half. Defense were amazing. I'm not going to say that they were to blame for the second half because obviously we got the offense as well. But first half they were absolutely outstanding, I thought.
Oh, they were on fire. Like again, that it seemed even with, because I was thinking about it, we're missing Mike Edwards obviously with this COVID vaccination thing, and we were missing
Jordan Whitehead.
Yeah, Jordan Whitehead, who's on his tackling is just ridiculous. When he comes flying in, how many fumbles has he caused through those tackles?
If he hits you stay hit.
Yeah, exactly. So it feels like, I said on the forum, it felt like that we were sort of 98% back to a full team. We're only missing a few key players. So it was good to see where we are. And in the first half, it felt like the defense was on fire. They all felt like they were on form. Winfield is absolutely unreal. The tackles, the stops that he makes. Devin White, the energy that he brings to just bring everyone into the game is brilliant. So yeah, the defense seemed to all be on track. They all seem to really going for it and finding great form. They were holding. I think we held quite a lot of third downs once, because that's been our problem a lot of this season, is that we've been allowing so many third and longs, and actually for once we were getting them off the field.
Richard, Josh Allen wasn't enjoying the blitz, was he? I think I recall at least 3 times that I think 3 or more Bucs players sacked him in the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, that one where Devin White came through and rode him like one of his horses was particularly enjoyable.
That's good.
I mean, I just on the second half thing, I do think that Jamel Dean has been outstanding this year. And when he went down in the second half with wooziness, and it sounds like he might not be completely over his concussion, which is a little bit of a concern. I think that made a big difference, because I think he's had an outstanding season and flown under the radar for a defense and held it down while all the others have been out. So I think that's made a big difference. And then, I think that's why the blitzes were working so effectively, because you've got Jamel and Carlton on the outside locking down their receivers. Josh Allen has to hold the ball for longer. If you start blitzing, but they can get open quickly, the blitz isn't quite as effective in the second half. And I think that was a big impact as to why it sort of switched so much, and the blitz was so effective in the first half and somewhat ineffective in the second half.
I think we brought some new looks as well, didn't we? Because we were rushing Andrew Adams quite a bit with the blitz, which was a different look. We hadn't really seen that as much before, which was good to see. We were bringing in some. It shows that we've still got plays in the book to bring out on defense.
I also think as well in the second half, we just fully expected them to be passing the whole time because, I mean, they passed the whole first half. So when they start calling those power runs and we've got a lighter box and more corners and safeties on the field, Josh Allen at 6'5", 250 pounds, whatever he is, and can run. I think that's why it was so effective and got the defense off balance and meant that runs were more open and passes were more open.
I think we were tired as well in the second half. Chase, once he was running, at one point I saw, Vita was sprinting after him, and you think the size of Vita to be sprinting after a quarterback, you just think he's gonna get worn out doing that too often.
Yeah.
Gary, one thing that you have been very vocal about on the podcast, and I have agreed with you many, many times, is about making a challenge at the point of the catch. Were you happier with how that was done against the Bills?
Not really. Funnily enough, I wasn't going to mention it this time.
I was.
No, I wasn't. We see a lot of occasions where our secondary player is running with or towards, but it's at that point when the receiver is catching the ball. I mean, there's quite often, what wasn't quite as prevalent in this game, the receiver catching the ball and there not being a Buck defender anywhere near him. But, you don't really see reaching up and trying to bat balls away. You don't see them trying to get in front and get the interception. But that said, first half on Sunday, the defense was just phenomenal, as the guys have been saying. And bear in mind that the Bills did change up their game plan in the second half. They didn't run the ball at all in the first half and did in the second. So that forced us to, change things around. The two things I would say is, number one, they're getting healthier on defense. I know Dean went out, but let's keep fingers crossed. You potentially got Mike Edwards to come back in the game against the Panthers if they don't cut him. I've forgotten what I was going to say now. I've completely lost my train of thought.
Not a problem, Gary. I'll leave you to think about that because I've got a question I'm going to ask you now anyway. No, I haven't, because now that's gone. I had a question lined up, ready to go. It's back. Thank you. It's back. Looking at Richard's name reminded me. So, Richard, I'll come to you on this one. Richard Sherman was back in this game. Was it? Oh goodness, my mind's gone. Was it? It was interception. I think he got interception. Didn't he? Pleased to see him back on that one, Richard. He's proving to be a good part of our defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think I quite like this new talk of using him at safety. I think we saw Rondo Barber transition to that late in his career. Charles Woodson did it. I think he's never been the fleetest of foot, shall we say, but he's certainly got the ball skills and the knowledge to know what he's doing back there. So, I mean, I think he's going to be in that package quite a lot, and come playoff time, I think it's going to be quite crucial. And we've seen where we can put up points big, but we often can let that lead go through the air. If you've got someone like him, I mean, Jordan Whitehead is undoubtedly come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years, but he's not got quite the ball skills that potentially someone like Richard Sherman has. So if you're holding on to a big lead and you can bring Sherman and Winfield in back there, I think that's a massive advantage. So while he might not be the most ideal corner anymore, and if Dean and Davis are fit, I feel like they're going to be playing over him. I think cross-training him at safety is going to add another dimension to the defense, and I think we sort of started to see the benefit of that against the Bills. And
his leadership as well is, even if he's not on the field, the fact he's got that experience to help lead a young secondary, I can only be beneficial there.
I mean, we saw that when he stepped in to coach, when he went out with the game. We had is it Kevin Ross, I think, is the defensive backs coach, and he stepped in to take over for that game. It just shows the level of knowledge that the guy's got and the leadership that he's got.
Yeah, having him in that room, having it in the DB room is brilliant for this team. That next man up mentality that we've spoken about. I mean, this team is the epitome of that. It doesn't matter what position it is. We seem to just have somebody, even with Cockrell and Desir. I mean, Desir making that interception against the Colts. Bringing in these people, we always seem to find the right people at the right time that step in and make a play.
Well, yeah, I mean, he punched out the ball against the Falcons as well, didn't he? In the start of the second half, I think it was. So, yeah, exactly.
the other point I was going to make that eluded me, the second half, they weren't fantastic, but they did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the last drive the Bills had, they got down to the 7, I think. He was marked out, held them to a field goal. Overtime, they got the ball. I'm sitting there thinking they're just going to go down and score.
Oh, definitely.
The worst rule in football, they'll score a touchdown. We won't see the ball. What happened? We get them 3 and out. So, the point that Peter's just made is fantastic. We do a great job mixing and matching and getting through. And we're 10-3 with a secondary that has been banged up all year long. And on Sunday, in the second half, they weren't brilliant, but they did what needed to be done.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, Pete, there is one play that we haven't spoken about, and we kind of got to talk about this one. And it's the winning drive.
The biggest play,
yeah.
Especially when you think that they pinned us to what? The 10-yard line,
the 4
4-yard line in our own half, and then we managed to drive all the way up. There was that hideous dump off pass to Lenny. That why do we fall back on this pass that never seems to play off? It's always really long, and he always just gets smothered. And you think you've just thrown the game away there, and then
Gronk saved it on second down by picking up 4. I thought Gronk was going to pick up the first down when he got going, and they made a shoestring tackle. But I mean, following play, I mean, I think it's been said all over Twitter, isn't it? It was meant to go to Mike Evans.
Perryman came out and said the rub, and he ended up.
They doubled Mike Evans as you would expect them to, and as Brashard hadn't had a catch all game, I mean, he runs a 4-2. The linebacker does not run a 4-2.
No,
and Tom's always going to find that mismatch. So incredible.
The atmosphere sounded.
To see the gate, see it as it's opening up, and just go, "There's Perryman, he's off."
And the atmosphere
saying that he was looking up on the jumbo board to check where the player. How can you do that? When it's that
incredible.
drive, you're coming on to potentially go to get the winning touchdown, and you're thinking, "Oh, I'll look up at the jumbo board to see where the player is behind me to make sure that I'm ahead of them."
I remember when Rojo had his 98-yarder, he said he was doing the same thing. So I don't know how they do it.
No,
it's quite incredible, but.
I mean, the atmosphere when Perryman went in as well, it sounded great on TV. I can't even imagine what it was like in the stadium. Gary, let's just quickly have a chat about special teams. I mean, one big moment, I won't spoil it. I know you're going to mention it, but one big moment in particular that special teams did really well on in the game.
Yes, indeed. That was the fake punt that the Bills tried to run. So honourable mention to Pat O'Connor for the tackle, for Anthony Nelson for making sure he stayed tackled by diving on it. I mean, it was just excellent. I'll make the same point. Close games come down to one play here or there that goes right, that goes wrong. And that's one that went absolutely right for us and absolutely wrong for them, I'm pleased to say. The rest of special teams, Ryan Suckup, with the exception of Justin Tucker, who else would you rather have?
Yeah.
He's okay. You get the odd miss, but they all miss. Even Justin Tucker misses the odd one. The return game. Well, let's not talk about that.
No, we'll leave that one. But as you say,
that
it's
one
nice
run that gets called back for a penalty, you think, for once we're like 50 yards, and then it gets called back.
Honourable mention for Mr. Irrelevant Grant Stewart. He is making some tackles, and he is excited about it.
He is,
a lot of time for it.
It's great. It's great fun to watch him. Sorry, Gary.
I was just going to say, having just come back from Tampa for the 2 games I went to, and I was sitting next to Tim Lewis in both the games, and every kickoff, every punt, you name it, Grant Stewart is herring down there at 1,000,000 miles an hour, hair blowing in the wind. And we just couldn't stop laughing at the guy because he carries right through the end zone, and he'd run out the stadium if there was a goal there. It's brilliant. Talk about enthusiasm.
So let's close off our Bills game recap now with your magic wands, please, gents. What would you change at a click of a finger if you could? Gary, I know you mentioned yours earlier. Can you just remind us what your magic wand is again, please?
Yeah, killer instinct. When you've got a team down, get them down even further. You got your foot on the neck. You don't let it up. You press down even more. And, we didn't on Sunday, and it nearly came back and bite us on the bum. So, we've got the Jets coming up. We've got the Panthers coming up twice. I hope we put 50, 60 points on them by just continuing to score. Let's put them in their place.
Yep, love the sound of that one. Pete, what about you?
I want the special teams to get, I want that 40-yard return to stick, and I want us to get that a little bit further. I want us to be starting games that, starting from punts. I want us to be starting further up the field for once, because so many times that we just get nowhere. I know we've had a couple this year, but I want us to see us starting in better field position.
And Richard, what about you? What would be your magic wand if you could change something in the instant going towards next week?
Just capitalising on turnovers, because we had the interception just before half. We didn't score any points. Stopped them on 4th down from the punt. Didn't score any points. I mean, I know we've been pretty good recently, but I know against the Colts we struggled with it a bit as well. There was a couple of drives where we didn't get any points off turnovers. So I think against a team like the Saints that we've historically struggled against, I think if we get any turnovers, you've got to make sure you capitalise on them.
And my magic wand, I just want us to be a four quarters team rather than a 2 or 3 quarters team. Simple as that. That's what I'd like to see. Okay, let's head to our members' views now. We started with Wayne. That was exciting. Still think our run D isn't all it is cracked up to be. It is good, but not brilliant if the opponent is intent on running on us. And the secondary needs to tackle better, but I'll take the wing. That's one thing I think, was it you, Gary, mentioned earlier? You said it's just about winning. It's just about getting that number.
Look on the scoreboard at the end of the game.
Matty says, found a way to win, but yet again, we made it more difficult than it needed to be. However, with 10-3, the division should be locked up next week, and hopefully we should still have plenty in the tank for the playoff run. Yeah, obviously we're going to discuss the Saints now, but how good would it be to lock up the division against the Saints next week?
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Wouldn't that feel great? Scott, short, simple. Thank goodness for that. What a relief. The word that he used wasn't goodness, but to make this viewable for everybody, I had to make some edits there. We have a giveaway for you now as well, or a competition, should I say. A massive thank you to our very own Dom Brady, the legend that is Dom Brady. He's very kindly giving away 4 Buccaneer trading cards here, which feature Antoine Winfield Jr., Rondé Barber, Michael Stott, and Shaquille Barrett. So good luck if you did enter. Remember, if you want to enter one of our competitions for a free giveaway, they do come up on the forum every so often. All you need to be is a BucsUK member. So if you are a Bucs fan in the UK and you're not a member, please come and join us. www.bucsuk.org. All the joining information is on there. Make sure you join our forum. You'll see the competitions come up, and you could see your name on the wheel to be within a chance of winning. We've got 9 people here who vote on the forum with a chance to win these cards. So good luck to all of you. It's time to spin the wheel and see who is the lucky winner of these cards.
Tom.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Tom. He was, of course, on the show, I think, was it last week or week before? Tom, superb. Well done. Congratulations to you. Those cards will be on the way to you very soon. Now comes the part of the show where we must thank Bucs Report for all their help in promoting our podcast. Please go and check them out on Twitter, Instagram, and their website. All the links are in the description below if you are watching on YouTube. And also, please make sure you do like this video. If you got this far, you must be liking it. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified every time we upload. Right, gents, let's now move on to our preview of the Saints game. So, Richard, what's your key for the Bucs beating the Saints? What do we need to do to make sure we come away with a victory?
Am I allowed to say the refs?
You can say whatever you like.
I think
within reason.
Like I said with the magic wand, I think it's just when they make mistakes, we've got to capitalise on them. Taysom Hill will give you a couple of ducks a game. I think Bruce was asked about his ability to run, and as he said, yeah, he can run, but he can't throw like Josh Allen. So I think that sums it up perfectly. They've got Alvin Kamara, but outside of that, they're hurting on offense. No Michael Thomas. Deontay Harris is out now. If our corners, I know they're banged up, but they've got to be able to cover those guys fairly well. And I know Devin's had his struggles this season, but my God, has he done a job on Alvin Kamara in the last 2 years? So I struggle to see a reason why we won't win, but the Saints just seem to have that hold in their defense, and the Dennis Allen has some sort of spell over Tom Brady. As soon as we play them, he likes to throw a couple of picks. So I mean, if we just play perfectly, we'll win. But
it sounds easy, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it sounds so easy.
It's limiting our mistakes and capitalising on theirs. I think are the key to the game, because they are such a well-coached team. You might look on paper that they don't. You feel like you should beat them quite comfortably, but they're never out of a game.
I feel like Peyton saves, like he's got a special playbook that he just pulls out against the Bucs.
Every time.
It always feels like it, doesn't
5
it?
trick plays in it, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely always feels like that. Pete, what's your key to the game on Sunday? Sunday night football, of course.
It's basically the same sort of thing. And they're about to run. They've got the 1-2 punch of Kamara and Ingram. It's about really holding them back, holding them down to 0 yards with our run. Our run defense should be good. And again, with Peyton and the play calling that he can do, because Taysom has got wheels, he might not be Josh Allen, and he can't do the same sort of ability. But with the way that they have Simeon in, and then they have Taysom on one side and Kamara or Ingram on the other, and you just get lost in what they're actually going to do. You can't game plan against that. So it's hoping that we can just smother them, just hold them to not very many yards and force them to throw it.
Gary, what do the Bucs need to do to come away with that win to seal the division?
They need to stop Taysom Hill and they need to stop Alvin Kamara, and that's it really. I think that's the game in a nutshell. Richard just made Bruce Arians' point that yes, he can run, but he can't throw as well, and he can't. So no. He will throw you some bad passes in a game, but he can run. So if they plan him some runs like they did Josh Allen, we might have trouble containing him. And to be honest, I would bet Taysom Hill watched that Bills game and was sort of licking his chops at the thought of, I can run on these guys. So, the key for us is Devon or whoever it is, get him on Taysom Hill. If he's not on Taysom Hill, get him on Kamara and stop those two. Stop those two and we win reasonably comfortably.
It's always like man-to-man marking, isn't it? Like in football, we have that. That's what we need to do. Just say, look, Devin, whatever you do, you line up against him, you just keep your eyes on him, and that's all you've got to do is just follow him wherever he goes. It's
funny you should say about the man-to-man marking there, Pete, because, and you say about football or soccer, if you're zonal marking, you have to be so disciplined as a team to do it. Very few teams can do it well because you have to know exactly where your zones are. Man-to-man marking is just much simpler. I think much more effective.
It is until you go against a team that has a running quarterback, because if he takes off, everyone else has got their back to him and they're watching players run downfield. And that's how you see the big 15, 20, 25-yard gains for a quarterback run come about.
I think that was the issue with the Bills game almost, that there was times where we were all man-to-man marking and then Josh Allen was just like, oh, there's my gap, I'll just go for it. And like you say, that's what we've got to watch out for massively in this game.
I think as well, where the normal corners are coming back and the communication that they've had has been more practiced over years instead of just a single week. I think that's where you'll see more zone coverage possibly this week, as they're getting more familiar with each other again, and for that exact reason to try and stop the run.
As long as it's not soft, we don't want to see that soft coverage.
Every time I see soft coverage, the name Mike Smith comes back to my head, and I just start cringing every time. No, thank you. I saw Gary's eyes just go as well. So he was squirming along with me there. Absolutely not. Yeah, no soft coverage. So let's just finish off now, gents, with our score predictions. Gary, what was your prediction for the game?
Well, I think we're going to win. I also think it's going to be pretty high scoring again. We'll score on them comfortably, I believe. I think we're going to be into the 30s again. We've scored 30 every home game this year. So I think we're going to do it again. And I can see us doing it against the Panthers. So that would be the first team ever to score 30 in every home game. I've gone for 35-24.
Brilliant. Like sound that one, Richard.
I will go for 38-25. It's something about Ray J this year and the Bucs.
Yeah. Two very similar score lines there. Pete, what about you?
I've gone 33-24. I want to keep this home streak, the winning at home alive this year. It's so good for for years it was the den of despair and all that sort of thing, and people hated Ray J. And now in the Brady era, we've turned that around, and I just want to see us finish this year keeping that win going.
Bucs have never been undefeated at home in their history, so this could be the year. And I think we'll do it with Tom at the helm, and the form that we're finding at home this year is just on a different level to what we've ever seen.
I think winning
before.
the Super Bowl at home's got to have made it feel like it's
properly home.
Yeah, properly home now.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're all thinking on the same lines here because, like you guys, I think we're going to put 30 points up as we have done all season at home. So I've also gone 34-24 to the Bucs. So we're all in the same thinking along the same lines there. So
let's hope we're all right.
Absolutely, definitely. Yeah, Kieran likes to play the devil sometimes in this, and will make things more interesting. I'm just going to agree with you guys and stick with what I've written down on here. So that brings us to the end of episode 55. Thank you ever so much for tuning in and watching. Gary, Pete, Richard, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure, gents.
Thank you.
Again,
thank you very much.
Again, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Enjoy the game on Sunday. Remember, it is a late one. We're going to be up to the early hours here in the UK, cheering and supporting the Bucs, but we will be there watching. We'll see you for our next episode very soon. And as always, take care and go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.